This episode of Nintendo Pow Block is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support our family of podcasts, head over to patreon.com/bossrushmedia or search for us on the Patreon app on your smart device. Thanks for helping us build something better. Hello everybody, welcome to Nintendo Pow Block here on Boss Rush Games. I'm your host, the Lights Excited ADV. Joining me is the one, the only bossman himself, Mr. Corey Derrick. Hello, good sir.
Hello, happy weekend, happy Saturday, happy Tuesday to you listeners out there.
Yes. Corey, we are literally 1 week before one of the biggest anticipated games drop.
Redfall.
That game have already been out by the time this episode came out.
I know. It's already out for people who bought that big expansion for it. People are already
really?
It.
Oh, yeah.
Star Wars is out too. So.
And that game is getting destroyed.
I've heard nothing but good things, so I don't know where you're looking.
It's me and Daniel was talking about it this past Friday. About the performance and everything. Like, it's...
Why don't you introduce Daniel and then we can talk about it for a second.
And everybody...
Because he's here.
It is his turn. As always. The one, the only, Daniel McGar. Hello, good sir.
Hey, what's going on?
Really good.
So nice to finally officially be here.
Yes.
He's here.
I forgot I was here for a minute.
We had an interesting Friday night, I should say. And I may talk about that on Playing with Power. Trust me, it was very interesting.
Probably do a straight 45 minutes just on our Friday.
Yes. So I mentioned Star Wars Jedi Survivor came up this past week. I'm actually going to talk about my adventure getting that game because it got canceled from Best Buy along with my Zelda Switch.
Don't go to Best Buy.
Oh, your Zelda
Everybody else
Switch?
went to Best Buy and got their stuff. So
nobody goes to Best Buy.
Stephanie went to Best Buy.
You go to Best Buy for CDs, DVDs, and TVs.
No, Stephanie went to Best Buy. She got her Zelda Switch. And other people got their stuff also. No, I
could shake my white OLED Switch around in my son's diaper and get the same design.
Oh, wow.
It's about what it looks like.
So I was getting ready to go get it, and I checked my email, and it said that it had been canceled. Didn't get no notification. It's very weird doing my email from Hotmail, which I got to try to get alerts, because if I do a regular order to Best Buy, it send it to my Focus file. But then when it's ready for me to go pick it up, it send it to my other file on Hotmail. And I'm like, well, I didn't even get no notice for it. So apparently I had to reorder both my Switch and my Jedi Survivor. So Jedi Survivor took 2 hours to be like, okay, it's ready for pickup now. And then my Switch is coming in on the 5th of May. But I was just like, this is the second time this has happened to me where it got canceled, and because they said they can't process my payment, and then they be like, okay, we can't process your payment, so we're going to refund you the money. Wait, you was able to process it to take it out? What makes you guys not be able to say, here, it showed us paid, come and get it? It's so weird. So
they're the worst. The worst.
But I mean, it's very weird. It's very weird because earlier in the week, I got Trinity Trigger, the Day 1 edition from Best Buy, like with ease. And payment was processed with ease for me to go pick it up. So
Probably
it
much
is
smaller
what it
crowd
is.
looking at Trinity Trigger though. less scalpers looking to get that game.
Well, I think I think the scalpers didn't know about it. Well, it's because the version that I got the day one is the collector's edition, and it's regular price, just like it was like any other edition. Like it came with the game, a soundtrack, an art book, and it came in a really nice box and everything. So, um, but I'll talk about that in Playing with Power. But that's kind of what I've been up to. Somehow, my weird weekend. Besides getting our truck and um, working and stuff. Those adventures is all took place kind of on Friday with the Star Wars. But there's been reports that there's been performance issues with PlayStation 5, PC, and Series X. PC is getting like, they said they had 320 reviews on Steam alone. That's all been negative. EA put out a statement on their Twitter page saying that they know the performance problems, and so they're going to like do something to fix it. And it's very weird because this game has kind of got like great reviews, and it's like I think 88 on Metacritic, and it just got destroyed. In fact, the HDR on PS5 is broken, so they're like they got to try and fix that. So me and Luke Laura, we was talking uh, about it, and he was just like, yeah, he's been having problems with the performance mode because it's dropping under 60 at some points. So in order to like really play the game, you have to put it in quality mode, which they don't tell you is when it's in quality mode. It goes into quality mode once you turn performance off. And that's where the game goes to 4K 30 frames per second instead of the 1440p 60 frames per second. And
I'm
I know
wondering.
Oh, go ahead,
I'm
Corey.
sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wonder if this whole, man, it just really feels like these consoles are like still underpowered, even though they're like they're so powerful, right? But we're still getting these like everybody wants 60 frames a second. I don't think anybody really cares about 4K. I think if you can get it up to 1440p at 60 frames a second or higher, right? I think that's where people want. And I'm not including the Switch in this, although it would be nice if Nintendo would consider doing that on their next console. But like with Xbox and PlayStation, right? Like Redfall is long. By the time this comes out, Redfall will be out on Tuesday for everybody, and it's not launching with a 60 frames a second mode at all. And people all over Twitter were calling for Xbox to just delay the game again until they can figure out that mode and figure it out and get it ready, because people want to play their games in a smooth fashion. And I know not every game needs to be 60 frames a second, right? Like we're looking at Zelda right now, and like that'll probably run at 30 frames, right? 30 frames a second, probably somewhere between 900p and 1080p on the TV, and then 720p on the. Something just fell in my kitchen, and I don't know what it was, and that was the scariest thing. So I'm gonna have to go check on that in a second, and if I don't come back, it means I'm dead because there's a murderer
Resident
in my
Evil
house.
4 is getting to you.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't understand why these consoles can't be better about doing certain things. And yeah, I don't know. If they do another mid-generation half-step type console, they missed the entire point of these consoles, I think.
Well, it's weird because
I'll be right back.
Okay, I think they could do 4K 60, but they need the art style of Hi-Fi Rush. on Series X. I think anytime they're trying to push these realistic looking graphics, they're not going to hit the 4K 60. I literally feel like they're just going to end up being at 30 and everything. I mean, if they could hit the 60, great, but then your resolution is going to suffer for it. So, like, powerful systems or not, these games are not PC level to me in a sense. Like,
Well, neither are
if
the
they
PC versions. So,
but I think with the PC,
here's the thing though. I think it, and it's funny because a lot of people who are actually talking about this seem to be in the minority, given certain surveys, and these companies are putting out their telemetry data and saying certain things, but like the hardcore gamers, I guess you would say, or the core gamers,
mm-hmm.
want a better frame rate than resolution. I would rather play a 1080p game at 60 frames a second than a 4K game that runs under that.
My, like I always said, and I know we argue about this, Corey, but I'm just like, why are you making a system where I have to choose between the two? Like, if you claim your system to be powerful,
That's the thing.
it should be able to run both at the same time, not running up to 60 frames. Or go ahead.
And to that point, I was listening to the Jeff Gerstmann show earlier this week, and he said, and that he was talking about this same problem on his show, right? Where like gamers are treating these consoles like mini PCs at this point, when consoles are supposed to be, I buy it, I plug it in, and I play, and you expect it to do the thing that you paid for, right? Or expect it to do. I don't want to go through all of the settings every time I turn on a game. I don't PC game for that exact reason, other than the side that PC gaming is super expensive a lot of the time. And we'll get into that another time, but like, I want to plug in my Xbox, I want to plug it in, I want to turn it on, and I expect Destiny to run at 60 frames a second. I expect a lot of these games to run a specific way without having to fudge through the menus for 30 or 40 minutes, right? Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
If we're paying these $500, $600 prices for these powerful machines, they should be running at that price.
And the thing too is like, these consoles they haven't even unlocked all of the I don't want to speak out of turn because I don't exactly know, but there's, especially for Xbox, there's specific, the way they route memory in the Xbox is different than the way they route memory in the PlayStation, which is which is why certain games run better on PlayStation than they do on Xbox, and the hard drive that the Xbox has is why certain games run better on Xbox than they do on PlayStation, right? But like, it's just, I don't the way they allocate this stuff. Like, Xbox hasn't unlocked it all for developers, because they did this with the Xbox One also, where like, I think they had 8 gigs of RAM on the Xbox One, and they only let developers use 5 of it, because 3 of it was used for like UI and the dashboard and loading the store and all the Xbox-ish stuff. Connect, I think, was a big reason why they didn't unlock a lot of it too. But like, these consoles, like, what's inside of them is so powerful and so much like, why can't we just have a console that we can just turn on and play, right? And I think, and I know that, and I'm going to complain about Nintendo's power in a little bit when we get to playing with power, because I've played 2 third-party games this week that are just trash on the Switch. And I mean, one of them, other than power, is like whatever. But the thing about Nintendo that you can always count on is its simplicity, whether it works in its favor or not. In this instance, I can turn on my Switch. I don't have to fumble through any menus. There's no performance options. There's no graphical things, right? I can turn on Mario Kart, I can turn on Zelda, I can turn on Disney Dreamlight Valley. I just go in and I play, and it runs how you expect it. And that simplicity from Nintendo is what I hope continues into the next console, because the things you have to do sometimes to get some of these games running is utterly ridiculous.
Daniel, thoughts,
Yeah, I've been a
opinions.
bit
I'm
quiet
sorry.
because I don't have a PS5 or an Xbox, so I can't speak to it. But I can imagine with like the really high rendering speeds, where like I see a lot of like tweets and things about like Elden Ring and Horizon, and it's just like
Elden Ring is a mess. Like,
yeah,
in
like
order for people to
people,
play, for order for people to play, get the 60 frames per second on Elden Ring on PS5, you had to play the PS4 version.
which is like weird enough in and of itself, but it's like, would
Oh,
you
do you mean
really
to get
want
it
to
to run the
sacrifice?
best?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
they fixed that though. They fixed that issue.
is it
But
worth rendering out every strand of hair, every blade of grass? Like, wouldn't, like Corey was saying earlier, like that 1080p at 60 frames be kind of enough for people? Like, do you need it to be that
I think
rendered out
with
realistic?
the way that they're showing
I
all
feel
of
like
these
probably not,
cutscenes
right?
and the way that the game has been marketed, um, or the way that when they was introducing these systems and they were marketing, like taking you to all of these worlds, experience the best graphics off of this system and everything, it feels like we're not getting that, or you as the owner of that console or that piece of hardware, you're not getting that.
Hmm.
Because once again, if those console makers are providing you with all the power, you should be able to utilize it. Now, that depends on budget, that depends on engine, and that depends on the team that you have that's working on it. Most consoles will benefit the first party. So with Nintendo, of course, it's going to benefit them because they are the creators of that console and they're knowing the hardware, and they'll, some people don't know how technical they are, but they know the ins and outs, and so they can work within those limits. Where indies and third parties have to figure out how to get a game running on that system. Even with Microsoft and with Sony, they have the best knowledge of that system and those engines and everything, because it is their own piece of hardware that they're working on, and everybody else would just have to figure out on how to get that working. So we can
Hmm.
understand if a game, like if one or two games come out for that system and it's not perfect because they're still learning. But if this is your third game that's on there, you should know at least the ins and outs and everything, even with your assets and everything. But right now, it's been what, 3 years for PlayStation and Xbox, and there's nothing, like, still not setting the system
there's
because they're.
there's there's absolutely no, unless you absolutely care about your games running better or whatever. You know what I mean? Like running at a higher frame rate and a higher fidelity, which, to be fair, like I said earlier, most people that go to buy a console don't really care, right? That's why so many people
Mhm.
wait so long to buy these new boxes. There's no reason. There's absolutely no reason right now at this moment for me to own one of these boxes. I own them because I'm an enthusiast, and I wouldn't have gotten an Xbox Series X day one if, at the time I was running our Xbox podcast, which is on hiatus, and I also, like, I bought it because I wanted to play Destiny at 60 frames a second instead of 30. That's literally why I bought my Xbox Series X. And if I wasn't running the Xbox podcast, I would have probably just stuck with a Series S and been fine. You know, uh, although I do think that the Series X is going to hold the Xbox back in a lot of ways, but that's a discussion for a different day.
Good day.
Um,
And like, I got my Series S because it was, at the time, it was more available than PlayStation 5, and I enjoyed
yeah,
the Xbox One generation, with games and stuff. Um,
I'm not gonna lie to you. I still don't know why I own a PlayStation 5.
I mean,
like
I definitely. I think I
Horizon, I
do.
think, but I could have played that on PlayStation 4. I could have I could have not sold my PlayStation 4 and played it there.
I want to get the PlayStation 5 because as a gamer, content creator, whatever, I want to be fair and enjoy the experience of what Sony has to offer and everything. So, and I'm not trying to knock Sony or anything, but like I'm not in a rush to get anything for it. Now, I do want to get it for Final Fantasy 16 because I do want to play that. But I still could wait for that when I know that Nintendo is already gonna bombard me with tons of games this whole like summer and everything. And I know with Series X that shoot, I have Redfall, I had Jedi Final Order, Jedi Survival, and some of the past games. Like I could catch up to beat some of those backlog games on it. So I'm not in a rush to get anything Sony related just right now. Until like stuff really quiets down and Sony's just like, okay, we got some heat for you. Then I'd be like, okay, let me go get a PlayStation 5 and everything. But I could wait for it and everything. It's just I think with this Jedi Survivor upset with a lot of people. They're just like, we don't know how a game, definitely by Respawn, that it would come out being a mess like this. Definitely when you have something as amazing and top tier as Titanfall 2. But I'm like, you kind of got to think about it. I'm like, Respawn focus more on Apex Legends than they focus on Star Wars. Like, we didn't hear a peep of Jedi Survival Order until almost close to its release. Like, we weren't getting updates or anything about that game. And if we were, where did you find it at? Who was talking about it? Not many.
Jedi
Really,
Survivor?
not many.
Dude, people have been talking about that game for a year and a half. What are you talking about?
That's what I'm saying. Where was like I don't know who was talking about it. I don't know if IGN was reporting on it, GameSpot, Game Rant, like Pure Xbox. Like I don't know who was reporting on it for anybody to talk about. Like even if we go through all the boss rush,
Respawn. What's his name? God, Vince Ampella and the director of the game say they don't like to show their games until they're almost ready because of all of the crap that some of these games get for announcing too early, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at all the games look what Xbox is going through right now, right?
Yes.
How many they've announced since the Xbox Series X, they've announced like 40 something projects for the Xbox and only 8 of them have released. Like Hellblade was the first game announced for this console, and it is still not out. That was 3 years ago, right? Not that I don't mind them taking their time on these games to make them the best they can possibly be. That's not my point. And I actually wish they would have delayed Redfall, especially now because of Fallen Order or Jedi Survivor and Zelda and Final Fantasy 16 and all these like hard hitting games, right? Diablo 4, like Redfall's going to get buried, and all this news about it not being ready and not having a 60 frames a second and they're still releasing it is bad publicity for the game. And like, that's where like, yeah, they weren't showing the game, but they were talking about, people have been talking about this game forever. And, they came out and said that they were only willing to show it when it was ready. Plus, I'm sure they had a lot of influences from Disney and Lucasfilm, right? Because it's their property technically, and they were probably waiting for Star Wars Celebration, or I forget where they showed it off the first time. D23, I guess, would have been the first time they showed it off. So, like,
I think so. Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors into that, but I know they were very keen on not showing it until it was absolutely ready to show off. And, it's performance issues and stuff. This is what happened to the first game too, right? It had a lot of performance issues right when it came out. I'll get this one eventually. I do want to play it. I am actually very excited to play it. But the last one was $30 within a month and a half. And guess what?
It's $9.99 right now on Xbox.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like when stuff like Final Fantasy 16 hits in June, July, and this game starts getting heavily discounted on sales for Xbox and that kind of thing. Plus, like, I think you can use Game Pass. Like, if you're an EA Play subscriber, you get an extra 10% off, and if you're a Disney Rewards member, you get a certain, you get something towards it. I forget what it is, but like, I'm gonna wait till I can, sit down and actually play it, because if I get it right now, right, I have like 6 podcasts to record between now and the time Zelda comes out. I'm not gonna be able to finish it. So why would I buy it right now? Am I excited for it? Heck yeah, I'm excited for Jedi Fallen Order. Was amazing. That game is awesome. If you haven't played it, I highly recommend. If you have it,
I'm
if you
trying to
have
go back
any
to it.
current, yeah, if you have any current gen or last gen consoles that can handle this game, I recommend playing it. It is really fun. The combat is really interesting. It's different. They kind of had a mix between. It's like a mix between like Titanfall, a little Soulsy, but in a good way. Deliberate combat, different styles of combat. It's fun, and I don't really care for Souls games, so that I like the deliberate kind of methodical battle system that they have in this game. So yeah, I'm gonna play it, but like, again, I'm gonna wait till it's on sale. I'm gonna wait till they fix the bugs and the performance issues, and that'll be that. But that I expect that from every game. It's not just this game. This game's getting a bunch of crap for that side of it, especially on the PC, because it's a high profile Star Wars release.
Well,
And I would think
I
that,
think. Oh, go ahead, Dave.
yeah, I would think that just the Star Wars fan base is so incredibly weird, and there's
Interesting.
like some heavy Fellowship of the Miserable going on, where the fan base seems to like hate things, and then like a few years down the road they'll start to embrace whatever came out that was originally like the worst thing ever. So I think that I have no rush to play it at the moment. I'd like to play them. I I assume maybe it's a trilogy. Just
Mm-hmm.
would
They've
be a
already
guess.
come out and kind of said that it was going to be.
That just kind of stands to reason. But I would definitely like to give it a go. But I'm in no rush to get it either.
Yeah,
And
the PC version is just not together at all. And then before we get into move on from this, I
No, this is
think it
fun.
was. I think because of the reviews being so high and it getting like critical praise and everything, people didn't expect this game to be in this state when it released, especially when it's something from Respawn. I don't think they care about that it's from EA being the publisher, but they do care from Respawn because Respawn has been put into a high expectation of quality and everything. So, I think that's why it's getting kind of bombarded, like on Metacritic and on like Steam reviews and stuff like there. And people really can't say. I'm like, you really can't say much if they're talking about the performance and the tearing and stuff. And when that's a major problem, I'm not, and I don't want to say that it feels unplayable. But I'm like, if this is something that's going to be an issue to the game gets patched or these things get fixed, people are going to give up on this game. Or and they may Redfall, yeah, it can be 30 frames per second, but if Redfall is really good and the quality is there, that no one's having a problem and stuff, that's going to take over between whatever the next big game would be. And I'm not even counting Tears of the Kingdom and stuff. So any
well,
final words,
Scarlet
you
and Violet.
guys? Oh, good.
Yeah, Scarlet and Violet had the same thing where you could walk through, like NPCs would be walking through your characters, like you just fall off the maps and stuff. So they patched that, and it seems that it either immediately killed your interest or you kind of fought through it. So
Yeah, but I think
hopefully
the difference though there
patch
is,
it.
like, I think people unfortunately expect that from certain technological disadvantages of the Switch versus Microsoft and Sony out here touting that these consoles are like the end all be all consoles of like technology and we can do all these things. And I have my thoughts on these consoles. I really like my Series X, don't get me wrong. I actually prefer to play a lot of things there that aren't Nintendo related, but I think there are definitely certain technological limitations to the console that aren't apparent to 95% of the people playing games. And I think a lot of times if the game runs good enough for the silent majority, or if it runs Call of Duty and Madden and Grand Theft Auto, like they just think a majority of gamers just don't care. Right now, it's just like, man, this Redfall situation, and what I'm guessing the Starfield situation is going to be, because that game is even bigger than Redfall, and Bethesda's making it, and we all know how quote unquote charming Bethesda jank is, right? Like, look,
Yeah.
I'm not a Bethesda guy. I don't care at all about Redfall, like at all. Not Redfall, Starfield.
Starfield.
Like, I will try it because it's on Game Pass, but I will not be like, I'm not like itching to play that game at all. I'm more excited for Redfall than Starfield. So
and I want to. I do plan to get on Starfield, and me and Jesse, we been hyped for Redfall after we just seen the trailer, because we thought that was the best Microsoft trailer for E3 when they first showed it. We were just like, oh, this is cool. This looks really good, and I'm not mad about the 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second. I just really want to play this game, because I'm just like, it's Dracula versus Borderlands, regardless of what they say it isn't. I'm like, that's the impression that I get. I'm like, if it's fun,
they said it's more like Far Cry, actually.
Oh, Far Cry. Well, like I said, if it's fun and it's functional and there's no problems with it, I'll be fine with it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, especially with first person shooters, right? People want the fluidity and the quick responsiveness, and to be fair, Arcane's never really been that way, right? They've never launched a game at 60 frames a second. I think
Right.
even Deathloop, when it came out, had some sort of patch that either patched it in or made it better. Maybe Deathloop launched with it, but my point is like, those games always get patches later that launch a 60 frames a second mode. So I'm not afraid that it's not coming, but it should, especially in Xbox's case, where like they haven't had really any major games in a while. Like, they should have probably thought about this for a minute.
And we'll probably, by the time you guys see this, we'll probably know the reviews, and we'll definitely be hearing opinions about it.
Yeah, I also think they were expecting the Activision Blizzard stuff to kind of go through already, and it, that's the big news this week, and I'm sure we'll get to it at some point on the show tonight. But I think they thought some of those games would be hitting Game Pass at some point within the next couple months also, and they're not. They're not, and that makes this kind of Band-Aid look like it's not covering the wound all the way either. So
Exactly.
but I could talk about this stuff all day. I wish the Xbox podcast still existed, but we just don't have time for it. So
well, everybody,
anyways.
it's time for Snacktendo, and I'm going to start the Snacktendo off because
oh boy,
I made a post about a new Mountain Dew that I tasted. It's Mountain Dew Summer Freeze, and it's blue. And it's supposed to be like those blue icy pops, the ones that you put in the refrigerator, they're freeze, and you take them out, you suck on it, and then like as you continue to eat it or bite it, some of the ices turn into the juice, and you could drink the juice at the end, or you could just drink them before without even freezing them. It has a blue kind of I won't say blue raspberry flavor. They call it America or Summer Americana on the Mountain Dew. It's fine. It's good when you drink it cold. You could taste most of. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say where I live. Be careful saying "Blue America."
Oh wow!
Ohio's a very red state.
Yeah,
it's kind of scary. It's fine.
But it's fine. I think when it gets a little bit warmer, you can taste the flavor a little bit better, and everything. So it's not bad. I say, like, if you have a taste to try it, you can. I also got the zero version, which is the no sugar version of it. That one is very weird. And I think it's because the aftertaste hits different than the one with sugar. And not, I know that sounds weird, but it was just like the aftertaste literally didn't kick in to almost like 10 seconds after me drinking it for a second. Like, I tasted them, like, okay, I'm not tasting anything. Oh, okay, 10 seconds passed. Now I taste it. And stuff. So if you're interested, I say go ahead. I don't know what to pair it with because I was having it with sushi and everything. So
pair it with, it's not a fancy wine.
Well, because sometimes you can get a drink.
My heavy blues with my sushi.
It complements the Mike and Ike's rather well, I'd say.
Corey, you should make a picture of that, or a Bosphorus shirt that says "My Blue Mountain Dew is sushi."
Pairs nicely with the milk.
It did have a fancy Nintendo logo on it.
Oh, geez.
No, but that's kind of what I tasted. And then there is a new sandwich at Jimmy John's that I actually got today. And it's I don't know what's going on with me. Just like, I tasted and I'm like, okay. It's the Capresso salami. No, it's the Capresso salami pesto that I tried. And instead of like a lot of cheese, they put like mozzarella cheese on it, and then it's like some salami, pepperoni, and then some other flavors. It's not bad or anything. It's just I think I was expecting a burst of taste of flavors and everything, and it was just like, this tastes like a regular sub sandwich. Like, I thought it was gonna, like,
I mean, it's Jimmy
out.
John's. It's not like it's not like you went to some artisanal bakery / deli somewhere.
It's not Subway.
I would like my fresh sliced turkey, please.
You gotta swing the blueberry Mountain Dew.
Oh my gosh!
But I need
that. I need a cartoon of that, of Ed just eating this fancy Jimmy John's in the blue Mountain Dew in a wine glass or something.
Sweet.
And underneath it just says underneath him sitting in this fancy chair, like by a fire in a robe or something, right? And some slippers. And
the red
underneath
velvet
it,
robe.
it just says Blue America. Just
and at the top it says Nintendo. But,
maybe your robe will be embroidered and it just says Snacktendo on your robe. You know, like fancy hotels, right?
Yes.
Have like their name or their initials embroidered on their robe.
A Pow Block robe with Snacktendo on it with my blue raspberry. Why do I feel like I should literally get a wine glass, the Mountain Dew, and a Jimmy John's, and just take a picture of it
Why not?
And then just have a video just swirling around.
But
Be like,
here's the thing: you have to put it on like a fancy plate. You can't have it sitting in the wrapper. You have to have a fancy plate and like one
oh
of those
yeah,
the cloth napkins, not one of these
Yeah.
nasty like paper ones. And then you got to get out the fancy silverware, right?
have a. I might like Aaron McGruger or a Mustin. Which one of you guys can make like a fancy Mario track that would go like well with dinner? Because something like Super Mario Sunshine.
Just play the Delfino track that he has. It'll be fun.
Yeah, the Delfino track was perfect.
Yeah.
And just sort of around, just be like, watch.
Shout out to Mustin, by the way, because I listened to his music like all week at work this week because it was just
Nice.
relaxing.
So, yeah, nothing too, nothing. I was about to say nothing too fancy, than that. Friday I had a Pokeball. Again, I'm like, I love Poke Brothers. I really do, and everything.
Gotta catch them all.
Yeah. I mean, they're the only ones that sell the Dole strawberry lemonade, in a 20 ounce. Like I can't find it nowhere around here.
I
So
wonder if there's a restaurant out there that sells Pokeballs in half open Pokeballs, and it's a Pokemon themed Pokeball restaurant. I'm sure that exists, right?
that's somewhere in Japan that does.
Go for it.
I'm just saying that would be,
Let me get on
free
the
idea,
line with
I guess.
let me get on the line with Grayson and be like, what place in Chicago does this? Because I know you know.
Yeah,
so.
he would know.
But like,
But,
Shout out to Grayson.
Yeah.
I love
I'm not
Grayson.
sure. Like, would you really want the food that comes in the Great Ball? If like you could get it in like the Master Ball or like the Ultimate Ball or something, like it's like this one kind of sucks, so we put it in the Great Ball.
Yeah.
The ranking of the Pokeballs let you know the ranking of the food.
The quality goes up depending on how valuable the ball is.
Yeah, it's like when you go to like a fancy steak place and you see the guy sitting next to you to get to the burger, right? And it's like, oh, well, that guy was looking for the cheapest thing on the menu,
I'm that
Not
person.
that
I'm
I'm
the
hanging
burger
out in
guy.
fancy restaurants or anything. I'm the guy that gets the burger at the expensive restaurant.
Yeah,
But,
that's me.
Yeah. But Daniel, what have you been snacking on?
God, how do I follow that?
Well, it was Corey. I'm taking my snacks in though. And
yeah, all
So-
Ed had was Mountain Dew, and a Jimmy John sandwich. Okay, that's the moral of the story here. I'm sure you can beat it pretty easily.
So I went to Trader Joe's this week and got these like Philly cheesesteak bao buns.
Yeah, see,
No.
you already beat it.
Definitely recommend those. Those are really, really good. And they're super
Nice.
easy because all you have to do is microwave them, which is my ideal like meal preparation is put it on a plate and microwave it. Extra
Nice.
points if I don't even have to put it on a plate. If it comes with its own like frying tray or something, that's even better.
Ooh, nice.
But
Nice.
then my boss is retiring, so they had like a bunch of food for her earlier this week. So I had these like really fancy cannolis that were pretty good.
Ooh.
That was something I would probably never ever buy on my own, but they were free and they were delicious.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Awesome.
That's
I guess that means it's my turn. Does that mean?
yeah, that's the extent of it. Everything else was trash. Go ahead.
That's fair. Well, we went to Casa del Rio tonight, and so I've been on this. So, long story short, I guess by the time this comes out, I have been on a kind of like a strict kind of diet to try to shed a few pounds, we'll say, and by a few, I mean probably like a whole person. And Saturday nights is the only like my dinner on Saturdays is the chosen time of this is when I can eat whatever I want between dinner time and like my kids' bedtime. I can eat whatever I want, right? So we went to Casa del Rio. Not that Casa del Rio is terrible for you, but the things I put in my burrito are pretty terrible for you. So I got the Chipotle chicken. I got the chorizo chicken. I got the Mexican rice. I got the grilled onions and jalapenos. I got the refried beans. I got both cheeses. I got the hot salsa and the extra hot salsa. I got the habanero salsa. I got the I got whoa, joking.
Heartburn.
It's fine. My throat has been on fire ever since dinner, by the way. It's like, I mean, 2 super hot salsas on the same burrito. Not a smart idea. We got the hint of lime chips.
Nice.
Tostitos, the big family size bag. We got the queso
those
dip.
Are so good.
We got the hot, the hot and spicy queso dip. So throw a bunch of cheese in the microwave with the chips, right? It was pretty good. It was pretty darn good. Also, Ed, I didn't take a picture of this burrito, but I think it's the biggest one I've ever gotten.
Bigger than last time?
Yeah. I seriously think it's the biggest one I've ever gotten.
Oh,
it did not even fit on the plate, and it was a pretty standard size paper plate, right? You can usually fit a lot on there. This thing was hanging off the end, man. It was.
Oh, wow.
This thing was huge. This thing was massive.
Remind me when we go. I want an extra thing of Mexican rice because I've been eating some Mexican rice lately, and it's been bomb big. I'm like, ooh, I want some.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Corey, did you say your burrito had 3 different kinds of chicken on it?
Yeah, two types.
How did they flavor blend?
It was great. So the chorizo chicken is like, it's just like a kind of like a spiced chicken. And then I got the what was the other chicken I got? What did I say I got? The chorizo chicken and the Chipotle chicken. And the Chipotle chicken is also spiced, but it's also cooked with this apple smoked bacon.
Oh man.
And they leave the bacon in, and so there's also bacon on my burrito. And man, you put that with some cheese and some rice, and I'm a big fan of jalapenos, and they grill them up. So good. It's so good. So, but yeah, that's what I've been eating. Is that frozen, or is he just sitting really still?
No,
Oh, okay. I thought you were frozen for a minute, and I was like, "Oh no, I think we're gonna lose him."
No.
Can't lose another one.
I know.
We already lost Courtney.
I know, man. She's got to stop. She's got to quit work. Okay, she's got to stop working.
It's true.
Everybody just quit your job. We'll do this full time. We'll live free. I don't know.
Free Bosch Rush Society.
Yeah. We'll buy our own little like 1 square mile of United States property, and everybody can just live there. It'll be like a cult, and we'll be on a Netflix documentary like 30 years from now.
Oh,
It'll
wow.
be fun. It'll be fun.
Don't drink the blue American Mountain Dew.
Oh no,
the Kool-Aid. And then Ubisoft will make a Far Cry game based off of it, but not say anything worthwhile.
Right. Oh, Ubisoft.
Far Cry 12. Oh man, that's funny. That's fun. What were we talking about now? I totally.
You were describing chicken flavor blending.
Chickens.
Right. Chicken flavor blending. Right. Got it. Nailed it. Good time. If you want to be a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/bossrushmedia, and find out which tier is right for you. Our Patreon producers at the $5 tier or higher for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, and Rebecca Jewell. Thank you for your continued support.
And now it's time for Playing with Power! Daniel, where have you been playing with Power?
Funny you should ask, Ed. So, I've been slowly relaunching my YouTube channel. So, I've been playing through Digimon Emerald version, which is a Pokemon Emerald mod where all the Pokemon are removed and they've put Digimon characters in. And so I've been slowly playing through that. And then you and I had an interesting experience last night, which would have been Friday for those keeping score, where we played this peculiar Game Boy Advance game and Steam game called Yggdra Union Will Never Fight Alone, which is a lot of things all at once. So it's a tactical map card battler RPG with basically visual novel level story. And I think our opinions probably both were the subtitle should be "You'll always fight alone" because I don't think either of us will ever play it again.
Yeah, it's so. This game was developed by Sting and it was published by Atlas in 2006 in November for the Game Boy Advance. And I never heard of this game or anything. And it did come to North America and it was released in Japan, but I just never heard of it.
Mhm.
It's an auto battle. You do pick a card though, and that card represents how powerful you kind of are in a sense. And once you actually get to the person that you're going to fight, it'll give you these colored shapes. And if you're red, you have the highest advantage. But if you're in the gray, you're at the lowest advantage. And then it continues to teach you more and more. It each starts you both off with 8 points, but depending on who you fight, if they're more powerful, they'll get only 4 points. And then you guys just battle. You don't know what they have unless you go and check it. And when you win the battle, you'll be able to level up and make those cards stronger. One of the problems with this game is that it doesn't teach you on how to move, it doesn't let you know that if you move one character 2 spaces, like if you get 6 move spots, if you move all 6 with one character, you can't move the other character. So if you're trying to move one character to if you're trying to move actually both characters, you got to see who's going to take the most steps, who's going to take the least steps, or are you going to give them equal steps? And then depending on where you land at, if you meet the person, you can fight them. If not, then you have to end the turn. And it doesn't teach you that at all and everything. So Daniel was playing the Game Boy Advance version. I was playing the Steam version, which had a little better graphics and some voice acting. And it sounded very, should I say, maturist, very mature. Because it was reaching a little bit of after dark. For all those who are Patreon subscribers. Kind of levels for a game and because of the voice acting and it's very wordy. So go ahead, Daniel.
So probably not one you're going to want to run and check out. Just a couple other notable things about it. The visual style of the fighting is Advance Wars. So like you have like your army on the left and your army on the right. And then, but unlike Advanced Wars where you get like one attack, it's fight to the death. So if you start a fight, you're losing your entire army if you don't win. And then there's a bunch of very confusing like UI controls that
Mm-hmm.
like it's almost like functions like a gotcha like mobile app game where there's like so many like stat padding things that are happening that you have very little control over that I assume you probably get control over later in the game if anyone's made it that far, but very very bizarre. But just the reason I had picked it was when I had asked Ed to be on the show, he's so well versed in video games. I wanted to find something that I knew he hadn't heard of, so I was going alphabetically through the Game Boy Advance list, and that came up, and I had never heard of it, so I figured there was a good chance that he hadn't. So when I messaged him, he's like, "I don't know what that is," and I was like, "Perfect," because the idea of that particular episode we were recording is that we play a game we've never played and decide whether we'd want to play it again or not, and we both did not. Episode spoiler, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah, you have to watch it and hear the commentary because it gets interesting. Let's just say.
Yeah, it gets weird quick.
Sounds great.
It was not. So I had played Soul Blazer last week as part of the same series, and that was actually fun.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
played
Soul
Soul
Blazer-
Blazer before.
So speaking of Soul Blazer, I actually I knew that game from somewhere, and I don't remember if I remembered while we were recording last week or not. But Game Informer did a super replay on Soul Blazer, and that's where I remember seeing it for the first time. So not that that's like relevant to anybody whatsoever, but
It
that's where I
holds
know
up
it from.
pretty well. Like graphically, like it looks pretty good for like a Super Nintendo game.
Yeah, and that's where I
and
played it at. Was on Super Nintendo.
Yeah, and it looks like I don't know, the rain effects. There's a lot of rain effects in that game too that look pretty good, and
And
I don't know. I think
clouds
it looks,
too.
yeah,
And like the rendering of like when you walk in a building, like the roof will disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really good for something that came out in 92
yeah.
when I was 1 years old.
Ouch. You're too young to be on this podcast.
Sorry,
Oh, wow.
guys. Thanks for having me.
No. Well, is that all, Daniel?
I continue my Breath of the Wild playthrough. Just I finally decided to continue with the story, so I just ended up with the Zoras.
Yay!
Nice.
But and like those environments are very cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love the color palettes of it and the like the old stonework and stuff. Very very cool.
Yeah.
But I will
Super cool.
keep going into Breath of stuff. So you guys go.
Yes. Well, Corey, what have you been playing with Power?
All right, here we go. I'm about to get real salty. Okay, so pull out your chips. So I played. I bit the bullet, and I was really really excited for this game, and I'm very upset that I I bought the most expensive version of it. Very upset. Disney Speedstorm. Oh my gosh, dude, this game is just. First of all, it runs like trash on the Switch. Okay. Like complete and utter trash. It runs at like every half second it'll run at like 60 frames and then dip into the teens and then go back up to like 30 or 40. And at one point I didn't even know we were racing because it literally froze in the middle of a race, and then all of a sudden I was like 100 meters ahead, right? Like it runs like trash on the Switch. Do not buy, if you have any interest in this game, play it on something else. It's terrible. Like, and in handheld mode, the graphics are bad. On the TV, they look even worse. Like, and I was looking at like the Xbox and PlayStation and PC versions of this game, and it looks exponentially better. It runs exponentially better. So with that said, when this game ran like it was supposed to, the racing is actually pretty decent. I would say the actual racing mechanics of the game are pretty decent, right? It's a Mario Kart kind of clone, right? You have your speed boosts and your jumps and your items that you throw. The twist on this, though, is that each character has their own quote unquote special move, similar to Double Dash, where you don't pick it up from a box, but you fill up this meter, and then a chime will pop up and like a notification above your racer says your special move is ready, and you can pop that special move around other characters, and it'll slow them down or knock them over or stop them, or it'll do something, right? The thing is that not all the characters are unlocked at the beginning. There is a very lengthy tutorial mode that you must complete before you unlock any of the other modes in the game. There's an RPG mechanic to this game where you're leveling up your racers to unlock different special moves for your characters.
Mm-hmm.
But also, they want you to unlock other characters for specific things in the game. So, and once you unlock a character, those characters are unlocked at level 1. So you must restart everything at level 1. Also, you have to unlock parts for your carts to make them run better, increase performance, acceleration, whatever, those types of things. Also, you have these things, I forget what it's called. It's like a pit crew. So you can unlock specific characters to also give you bonuses while you race. Chip and Dale, old, Silly Symphonies characters, those types of things. Sounds good on paper, right? Wrong. Because all of these things are unlocked via loot boxes. And you never know what you're going to get. And also, for your pit crew, you think any character with like specific boosts would be great for any character, right? Wrong. You could only use specific pit crew characters on specific racers.
Are you serious?
You could be racing as Mickey Mouse and unlock, Chip and Dale or Gus Goose or something, and those pit crew characters are only good for Donald Duck. Granted, Donald Duck is the second character you unlock, right? And if you buy one of the Founders Passes, you get a token to unlock a third character right away. I unlocked Belle. Belle's a pretty great character to use. But at the end of the day, this game has too many pay-to-win. Right now, it feels like it has a lot of pay-to-win mechanics, and it also and loot boxes and not having all the characters available at launch. Granted, I understand like when you have special events, like the reason why I wanted to play a lot of it this weekend was because Figment is the special event character this weekend, and Figment is my favorite Disney character of all time. For those who don't know, he is the unofficial mascot of Epcot at Disney World. He's a little purple dragon. Look him up. He's either adorable or super scary looking in a non-threatening way. So whatever. Just don't look up the old animatronic versions of Figment. You'll be fine. Seth Rogen's making a Figment movie, by the way. Shout out. But at the end of the day, it's like I was so mad at this game, and maybe later down the road, similar to Disney Dreamlight Valley, right? They'll go in and they'll adjust some mechanics. They'll fix some pricing things. They'll fix some of the balancing issues. But I deleted it off my Switch after one night of play. I would say I deleted it off my console.
So Corey,
I just was not.
So Corey, Nintendo Life, they gave a conclusion. Disney Speedstorm delivers solid kart kart action with fantastic handling and clearly spends a lot of care and attention on its characters and courses. Its performance on Switch lets it down, though, especially on handheld where it's a blurry, stuttery mess, and those not interested in the live service setup will struggle to get along with it. The joys they have for its handling is brilliant, on a par with Sumo's Sonic Racers. Each character's well designed and feels unique. Brilliant mix of well-known and more obscure IPs. Soundtrack is fantastically outlandish.
Soundtrack is awesome.
The first season's content bodes well for future editions. The cons, though, are frequently fails to hit a steady 30 frames per second. Handheld is so blurry it's a shambles. Local split screen is 2-player only and heavy on live service, which is not everyone likes. And then they give it a 6 out of 10. So pretty much everything you just said was in their review for it.
Yeah, and there's a battle pass too. If you buy the Founders Edition, you get the first battle pass for free, which is like, it's the first battle pass is Monsters Inc. So you unlock, car parts and pit crew helpers and racing suits for Sully and Mike Wazowski. Like I said, this is a great idea for this. Like, the idea is there, right? But there's too many things butting heads with itself, and the Switch version just runs like trash. I wish I would have bought it on a different console, and maybe I would have a different opinion of it. But yeah, I mean, the levels, like the actual act of racing is super fun. The levels are well designed. There's a lot of care into the levels, right? Like the tracks are actually pretty cool. The Pirates of the Caribbean level is super awesome. It's Port Royal, right? And then like it adds this weird Tony Hawk grinding mechanic, actually, where like there's these rails that if you drive on them, you get like speed boosts and you can jump off the end of it and do a trick, and like gives you an extra speed boost. The drifting feels good, right? But like at the end of the day, there's too many paying mechanics, whether it's pay to win or not, right? That just hinder, I think, it really hinders the experience. And I actually think Nintendo, this is actually what I thought Nintendo might do with the next Mario Kart, was like, it's going to be a live service game. You kind of go in, right? I thought maybe you could go in and like, okay, well, maybe all the characters are unlocked, but the battle passes have specific skins. It's kind of what they're doing with Mario Kart Tour, I think, actually. And you could have racing suit Peach. You could have a bunch of different styles of characters, right? Like there's 5 Marios in Mario Kart 8, right? You could have that all in some sort of battle pass or something, right? Where you unlock a Tanuki suit for Mario, or Cape Mario, or whatever, right? But I think Nintendo is going to actually look at this and say, this isn't working for Disney. How is it going to work for us? And we all know Nintendo's kind of entering their Disney phase right now with everything, especially like the movie and stuff. So
I kind of want to watch the first announcement of this game on the Nintendo Direct, and then just see how it is now that the game is released, because like I kind of feel like that what they showed in the Nintendo Direct is different, way different than what's being described and what people have played.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, it's like, it's fun, it's cool, it's an interesting game, I will say that. And like I said, maybe in a couple months, or a couple weeks or a month or whatever, maybe by the time season 2 rolls around, they'll adjust some of these things. But right now, the mechanics are just, the paying mechanics are broken, and the Switch version does not run great. And I think a lot of people with a kid-friendly company like Disney, I think a lot of people are actually going to be, they're either going to go in and be really disappointed when they purchase this, or their kids are not going to understand that you can't just like, oh, I want to be Belle, I want to be Minnie, I want to be these Beast, or Mulan, I want to be one of these characters, but you can't be these characters because you have to unlock them in these very obscure kind of ways. Now, people, if this is the only game somebody is going to play for a while, then yeah, they're going to have all these characters unlocked in a couple weeks, maybe a month. I don't know, but like maybe sooner than that. I don't know how hardcore of a Disney Speedstorm fan somebody's going to be, but like for someone just who wants a casual kart racer to play with their friends or their family when they come over for holidays or their kids or something, this is not it. This is not going to be that. So,
and we got that Lego 2K game coming soon, and if that looks make that Disney Speedstorm look bad, that's going to yeah. And I think we'll probably wait for sales for it though. But go ahead, Corey.
Well, I mean, it's technically sometime this summer. It's going to be free to play, so you know that's something, I guess. But as somebody who's a big fan of Disney Dreamlight Valley, I had a lot of high hopes for this because it's the same studio, it's the same company, right, making it. And Disney Dreamlight Valley doesn't have any of this pay to win stuff, right? They have their kind of event pass that they give you for free, and you can grind it all out, or you can pay for levels, or but there's no like, everything that you pay for in that game is cosmetic, right? You can buy outfits, you can buy, you can change the look of your house, right, with the outside of it by purchasing something, and it's all cosmetic, and it's great, and that's how Disney Speedstorm should work, right? If you want a costume or you want to unlock a character early, you should be able to purchase it or grind it out in a meaningful way and not have to depend on these 95 different types of loot boxes, because first of all, there's the basic there's 3 pools of loot boxes right now. 4 actually. There's the basic loot box kind of pool. There's the multiplayer loot box pool. There is the special event loot box pool. And then from what I could tell, maybe there's only 3, but from what I could tell, there's like a character specific one also. And everything in that one costs more because it goes towards your character. Maybe I read it wrong. Maybe I was just reading the kind of tutorial stuff wrong. But man, there's a lot going on in this game that does just not need to be in there.
So it needs to slow down and park somewhere. Park yourself in the garage until it get fixed.
Yeah. So I've been playing. I played that, and it was that. I've also been playing Disney Dreamlight Valley. Oh, that's the other thing too. So after I deleted this off my console, I actually went back and played Mario Kart 8 just to see similar art style, right? I mean, cartoony, light on textures, and Mario Kart 8 runs at and granted, this is Nintendo versus Gameloft, which is not exactly the greatest company. Don't get me wrong. Don't want to make anybody feel bad for working at Gameloft. I'm just saying, Gameloft, Nintendo is like way up here. Way up here. And man, Mario Kart just does everything so right. I've been playing some of the new tracks, and man, Mario Kart might be the game I stick to until Zelda comes out, because man, a lot of the new tracks from the newer waves. Remember how upset I was and disappointed with the Wave 1 and a little bit of Wave 2, Ed?
Yeah.
Wave 3 and 4 are knocking it out of the park, man.
Nice.
And adding Birdo. Birdo's a pretty cool character. Like, she's got the drop down thing like Yoshi does, where you can pick different colors of Birdos. The tracks are great. Some of the new things they added are super cool. I was really having a blast playing Mario Kart 8 the other day by myself. Granted, nice. 50cc on new tracks, but
hey, I'll take it.
The thing I like too about some of the Mario Kart Tour tracks, which I was actually giving it crap for when the first couple waves launched, they switch directions, right? So you're not going in just like one big predictable loop, right? A lot of them are set in cities, and so like lap 1 will be you're going this way. Lap 2, instead of a left when you go through the the overhead whatever, you're going to go right here. Or the third lap, this ramp came up out of the ground and now you're going to go up over this building and sail over the building, right? And like there's just a lot of cool interesting things that they're doing. And I want to see more. I'm very interested to see what characters they add because there's 5 more slots for characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm thinking Kirby's going to be one. I bet we get a Star Fox character. I bet Zelda shows up. Samus maybe. A Kid Icarus maybe, since he was, spoilers for the Mario movie, I guess, but Kid Icarus has a presence in the Mario movie. Like, I don't know. They could do some really weird things in here and I would be totally okay. Mario Kart 8 is arguably a top 3 game on the Nintendo Switch. It's fantastic.
It may be the number 1 card game of all time.
I know, and I know a lot of people are going to argue. I think a lot of non-Nintendo people argue that Crash Team Racing is also up there as like a top tier kart racer, and I actually kind of agree with them. I really liked Crash Team Racing when they brought it to Xbox and PlayStation, and that was super fun.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the Switch version does not run particularly as well as the Xbox and PlayStation versions, but
Activision,
I mean, they run better than Disney Speedstorm by a mile, no pun intended. But yeah, I played a lot of Mario Kart 8. Incredible game. We got to get a community game night Mario Kart 8 some point. Maybe May is the month where we start doing community stuff because like so I've also been working on redoing our thumbnails, and like that's taken a lot of time away from me. But I'm trying to get it done before Zelda comes out because, yeah.
Tears of the
But
Kingdom.
anyways,
That's I got we're probably gonna have to talk about it. Talk about that one, everybody. Not in a sense as a subscriber to game and stuff, but I think that game deserves a week before we even dive into anything with it.
Yeah. Well, it's also our May and June book club is Tears of the Kingdom. So I mean, if you want a super duper deep dive, and I'm sure we'll do some sort of expansion pass on it as well. At least the opening kind of hours and kind of playing around with some of the tools and stuff. But like, yeah, that game's going to be taking up a lot of people's lives. So, but I've also at the half hour of your night got to get my Disney Dreamlight Valley in. Got to get it in. It's an incredible game, and I'm not going to stop playing it. So everybody can just keep making fun of me or shut up because it's awesome.
All right. Well, so I'm going to jump in and start with Star Wars Jedi Survivor. And sorry about that, everybody. And I started the game, kind of waited for a day before I played it, and started up. They're showing scenes from the first game. I'm like, okay, cool. And then the game actually starts, and it starts off in the cutscene. I get to a point that the game is still in the cutscene and it crashed. And I'm like,
super fun.
Exactly. That's what, like, well, like it crashed in the cutscene. I only have been in the game for 15 minutes. it crashed, went to the home screen of my Xbox, and I had to restart the whole part all over again. Luckily, I was able to skip the cutscene that I first saw, but because it starts you off walking before you do any other action in the game, you are forced to walk.
Oh.
And I had to get back to where I was at with the cutscene, and luckily it didn't crash. And I'm like, oh, this is about to be a mess of a funny time. I'm like, if you crash 15 minutes into a game and it's only a cutscene, that's not going to look right at all.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, great. So
is it any good?
It's
besides that.
I will say the combat is better than the first one. The flow and the feel of it is better than the first one. So I will say that it is a little bit better. But there is more I need to play. I don't like the fact that sometimes you sometimes need something that to give you directions, kind of highlight. But you can easily get lost in this game. So I'm just like, oh, it's about to do the Uncharted nonsense. But it's going to, I need to play more because I'm still in the beginning of the game. And I haven't did any one-on-one battles and stuff, but it is fun from what I played. I am playing it on this default mode with the performance and everything because I want to see if the frame rate drops, if there's any tears or anything. I just encountered the crash, and so I'm going to be playing that for a while. I don't know anyone else on the Boss Rush team is playing it at this time, but I'm going to be playing that in Redfall on Series X, and hopefully I can get a review for both games out and everything. For a Switch, though, I've been playing Haku the Robot. This is like a Metroidvania that I had for a while. And I put it down just because I started playing some other stuff. And right now, I'm kind of close to the end, but I gotta search the whole map because I gotta find two other computer items that would help me enter to the final battle, and everything. It is fun. It's around probably 8 to 10 hours and everything. For an indie game, that's not bad. But I just it's a good game. It's one of those games that you really got to stick with and kind of force yourself to make progress and stuff because it really doesn't give you a map, and it really doesn't tell you where you need to go next. You just literally end up just following the stuff. Like there are some things that I could have got earlier in the game and didn't realize it until way later on that I got it. I got a certain item because it just doesn't tell you. Played a little bit more Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I did get the expansion pass, so I got all 4 waves, but I have not started it just yet. I did get Trinity Trigger, and I kind of want to show you guys. This is the box of it.
What is Trinity Trigger? I don't really know what it is.
So it's from the makers of, or one of the creators, Secret of Mana. So it's an action RPG, and you're searching this tomb and everything to get items and resell and stuff. But there's a deeper story to it. It says, Cyan, a young man from a quiet village, discovers he has been named the Warrior of Chaos, destined to do battle on behalf of the gods. Joined by 2 new companions, Cyan embarks in a journey to defy his destiny and bring peace to the land. And when the game starts, it's like 2 babies, and they both have some kind of signal in their eye. Cyan is one of them who has this red signal, and then there's another baby that has a blue one. So Yeah, but this is the day one edition, so this is the box to the game. This is the CD for it, so you do have the soundtrack. It's a 2 disc inside of it, and then this is the art book for it and everything. So it's really cool. I got it for like $60 at Best Buy, so there might still be some. I didn't know that the game was getting physical, but I just seen some people like they had the game physically, so I looked up in Best Buy, they had it, so I ended up buying it there.
Is it like a limited run thing?
No, Xseed.
Because
No, Xe published it, so you could probably, if no one is looking for it or anything, you could see if Best Buy have it and order it, and just do a curbside pickup or get it shipped to you.
Okay,
So,
I was just wondering because the limited run has a deal with Best Buy where they sell like it's not the limited run like cover, but it's like an alternate cover version of the limited run standard versions of games. So I was just wondering.
no, this one was. I knew of it, like, but it's just like it exited my mind, just like Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Like it came up, it got mentioned, but then just like no previews and no one talked about it till the game actually came out. And I know we talked about it for Pack Watch, but it was just to let people know that the game was releasing and everything. Play some
Right.
more Advance Wars 1 and 2, enjoying that. And then got sucked into Borderlands Game of the Year Additional Switch. Having a good fun time with it and everything. I beat Borderlands on PS3 when it originally came out. So playing it on Switch, and it's just something to have. And if I'm ever on the go and I just want to waste some time, I could get into the game, do some missions, and be done with it. But
Nice.
that's pretty much what I've been playing. Like I said, hopefully I get through some more Jedi and get through some Redfall. And I am going to be talking about Xenoblade Chronicles 3 with the Wave 4 DLC. So I could be able to talk a little bit more about it. And then yeah, I'm ready for Tears of the Kingdom and stuff. I actually might just pop in um, Breath of the Wild just to run around and play a little bit of it and get just myself familiar with that game again. Then, like I said, everybody, if you want to know, see. Sorry about that. See all the trailers that came out for Tears of the Kingdom. I have an article on bosswish.net called The Road to Release, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And I go through all the trailers that they showed in the chronological order. So you guys could check it out.
Nice. Cool.
So
Man, look at us actually talking about games for once that are like I don't know,
yeah.
man.
So everybody, it's time for Femi News. Corey, take it away.
Oh boy, hold on. Let me open the doc because I was actually playing with. Okay, so Family News. So according to the CMA, Nintendo Switch is not technically capable of running Call of Duty games. So man, for anybody wondering, we kind of hit on it at the top of the show, but the CMA, the European body of kind of controlling companies purchasing, they put a kibosh on this Activision acquisition from Microsoft, right? So that's kind of where the story is coming from. I know Microsoft and Activision are already appealing it. So in the UK, the Competition and Markets Authority has blocked the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard on Thursday. The reasoning has been weird because one of the reasons that it was blocked was due to the, quote, fast-growing cloud gaming market. What's even weirder is that they included the Nintendo Switch in their report, saying it is, quote, not technically capable of running Call of Duty games. They stated in the report filing, Nintendo does not currently offer Call of Duty, and we have seen no evidence to suggest that its consoles would be technically capable of running a version of Call of Duty that is similar to those on Xbox and PlayStation in terms of quality and gameplay and content. Microsoft and Nintendo signed a 10-year deal that would have the series coming to Nintendo platforms and would treat the game fair like the other versions. So what do we think of this? I mean, here's the thing, guys. I get that Nintendo's online service is not exactly great. I get that it is technically inferior to these consoles, but I would argue that there are plenty of multiplayer games on here on the Nintendo Switch that function relatively well. I'm going to point to Splatoon and Mario Kart. The way Nintendo kind of implements their online stuff, whatever. But Fortnite is the big one I also point to that runs well on the Switch. Also, if you're talking just single player style experiences, I played through Doom, Wolfenstein 2, and Wolfenstein Youngblood on the Nintendo Switch. And guess what? Those games run perfectly fine. Are you going to have a competitive advantage by running on the Switch? No. But you also don't have a competitive advantage in Fortnite. And guess what? There are millions of kids and players on the Switch that think it runs just fine and have a lot of fun time doing it. I'm actually going to play some Fortnite with my nephews tomorrow. And guess which version one of them will be playing? The Switch version. And guess what? We got Victory Royale with him playing on the Switch version, and we won, and he stayed alive. So, I kind of point at those things, saying, and if you're talking just general Call of Duty, right? Like, without Warzone or something like that. If you're just talking like Team Deathmatch and whatever else they offer, I don't know because I haven't played Call of Duty in probably. I would say the last time I played it was Black Ops 3 with Jesse, I think. So I don't know. What, 6 months ago? I don't know. They put those games out so often that I think a version of that would be just fine. If you're playing with other Switch players. Also, I would point to Call of Duty Mobile as being a pretty big component of the Call of Duty ecosystem, and maybe you put that some sort of version of that on the Switch as well. I wouldn't put it past Activision to do something like that. So that's my 2 cents. I'll leave it to you guys.
I don't
I'm gonna.
think. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I was actually gonna pass it to you, Daniel, first. Because I'm sure Ed has opinions, and I want to make sure you don't get run over.
I'm not a huge Call of Duty fan. I think probably the last time I played Call of Duty was the Wii version of all things. But I don't really think of Call of Duty when I think of the Nintendo Switch. So probably not really chomping at the bit to play Call of Duty on the Switch, but it seems like it wouldn't be that hard to get those games working on Switch to me, who has no background in software development at all. But
File save as .switch.
yeah,
That's how it goes, right?
is that how it goes? I don't know.
Yes. No, I don't know.
Sounds right. But it's interesting that they're saying it's not technically capable. That's such specific wording.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me wonder what that exactly equates to. Is it the Jedi survivor thing Ed's dealing with, or is it systematic where it won't even boot? Like, How not capable is it?
Yeah.
And like what part of it isn't capable? Because it
So
doesn't
dumb.
seem like it's that fancy compared to other things trying to port in.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, I get that, but like you could point to 1,000 other games, right? Like you said on the Switch, and say, "Oh, it's not as technical as There's indie games that run worse on Switch than they do on the other platforms, and guess what? People still buy them. So I don't
Yeah.
know. And I get Call of Duty is a different beast. I'm not trying to say that it's not. And I bet 99 out of 100 people who have other consoles would not even consider buying Call of Duty on the Switch. But that one person out of 100 might be okay. It's like the Disney Speedstorm thing I said earlier, right? Or like the Jedi Survivor stuff we were talking about or earlier. 95% of the people out there probably don't care as much as we do about how a game runs. They just want to play it and have a good time and talk to their friends because they came home from a rough day at work, and they have a couple hours to burn before they go to bed, and they jump on, they throw their headset on with their friends, and they're like, "Hey, what are we playing tonight? Oh, Call of Duty. Oh, Grand Theft Auto, or whatever, right? Madden." That's oh, we're gonna play Call of Duty. Great. What version are we playing? Oh, I got it on Switch, so I'm gonna play it there. Okay, great, nailed it.
Yeah. Just
Here we go.
demand is the question I would have. Like, who buys the family-friendly Switch so they can run around like taking out Nazis or whatever? Like,
Me, because I got Wolfenstein on it, and I
Right.
literally murdered hundreds of Nazis.
yeah, and you murdered them just fine. So it's hard
Yeah,
to imagine that you couldn't murder them just fine on another game. Like,
exactly,
it's just so weird.
exactly.
Okay. So Nintendo doesn't make Call of Duty. Activision does. So Nintendo doesn't have to offer it. Activision makes the decision on where that series will be on whose platform. So UK,
Well, technically,
CMA,
if this deal went through, Microsoft would decide where Call of Duty goes. But
right. But CMA, since you did a 418 report and didn't do no research about that, bad on you. The cloud gaming space is not a fast growing market because a lot of people do not like cloud gaming at all. Now, Steam Deck and all of that other stuff, uh, Ultimate with Game Pass, that's a whole different discussion. But cloud gaming is not growing fast or anything, and you didn't even mention anything about cloud gaming when it came to Call of Duty itself and Activision games. Like, even before this deal has happened or anything, this CMA didn't say anything about cloud gaming. So it really kind of feel like they just brought up some excuse just to block it. Now, how does this hurt Nintendo? Or why was Nintendo why would you go to Nintendo Switch when the contract says Nintendo platforms? The deal doesn't start until whenever Microsoft acquires it, Activision, and they want to bring a game to that platform. They don't have to bring in the Switch at all. That doesn't mess up with the 10-year deal. Once the game is released, the deal I think once the game gets released on that platform, then the deal will start and everything. Then it be kind of be in effect. But I'm like, whoever said that the Call of Duty needed to run on Switch? If the CMA had a problem with that, they should have been way talking to Activision, be like, why are you not putting this game on this console and everything? If Microsoft gets it, they said they're going to make sure that it's going to be equal billing like the other systems. And plus, the games that can't technically run on Switch, they've gone through cloud. Now, the cloud service name might not be up to stuff, but there's Control. There's the Kingdom Hearts collection. There's Hitman 3. Like, some of these big games that's big on other consoles that could run them. Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil Village, and everything. Those are all through the cloud. And depending on how strong that cloud service is and the internet, your personal internet is, those games are offered on Nintendo Switch through the cloud and stuff. So if Microsoft, who has Azure and who really knows how cloud gaming works, they may be able to put it through their system and put it on Switch, and it may just run like butter. But the CMA would never know that. I don't think. Oh, go ahead, Corey.
Oh, just to that point, Ed. Like, we don't know what the specs of Nintendo's next console is. We're not talking about the Switch for the next 10 years, right?
Right.
Like, I mean, from everything that I've heard and researched and talked to some people about, it seems like Nintendo is aiming for a spring 2025, right? Release of this, right? Of their next console. I think they're going to maybe tease it. I don't know. A lot of people seem to think Nintendo is going to tease it at the Nintendo Live event in September. I don't think they're doing that. No, the Nintendo Live event in September. That event in Seattle.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why you would do a tease it there. I think they're gonna. I don't know when they're gonna reveal it or tease it, but like, remember the Switch was teased 6 months before it came out, and then it came out, right? I mean, they teased it in October. They showed the trailer in November. They did a big kind of reveal in January at that Japanese event, and then it was out in March, right? That was the Nintendo Switch reveal cycle. And I think Nintendo is going to do something similar, and it's going to get even more hype because everybody loves the Switch, and it'll be right like fall of 2024. Maybe
they put a job listing out.
I know. Yeah. And we're gonna cover that job listing on an expansion pass, I think, because I think this kind of points to whatever their last kind of major release. My thought is that Metroid Prime 4 is going to be their Breath of the Wild, right, where it's going to cross gen.
I say it's not.
Well, you're an idiot if you think that.
But hey, no name calling.
Nope, you're an idiot if you think that. I'm just kidding, but I'm not. But I am. But I think the CMA is looking too short term at this, and also this is what happens when you have a bunch of people who did not grow up with video games, don't understand video games. I heard the term ancient old farts on the internet at one point, and along with other terms that made fun of people who are older than us. I'm not going to go that far, but like, who don't understand how video games work and consoles work and generations. Like, it just, they're not looking to the future. They're looking at right now. And yes, the Switch is incapable of running Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, right? But who's to say in a year and a half when their next console is out, or 2 years or whatever, it isn't capable, right? Like, this thing is going to be, I would say, PlayStation 4 Pro power at worst, right? And so, I don't know. I feel like I'm just rambling on about this now. But anyways, it's my opinion.
Well, it's in the Call of Duty, if they were going to bring it for Switch, they could always do it in a different style. It doesn't have to be the same.
They're not gonna. No, they're not going to make two different games. It's Activision,
but I'm just
right?
saying But I'm just saying they could. That is a option. I'm not saying that they will, but I'm saying that option could happen if they wanted to do it in a different style. They could have. But Activision just doesn't roll like that. Activision knows where their business rely at and where they'll get their money. And apparently, Nintendo is not in their, I won't say wheelhouse. Nintendo's not in their business plan. Same as EA. Nintendo's not in EA's business plan and everything. Because, like I said before, if they said that they want to go to where the people they have the most consoles, where the more console players and sales are at, that's where they want to go to. Switch has them, so why is EA and Activision not there? We already had that discussion, so it is what it is with that. But I think the CMA really missed the mark. I mean, we know that Microsoft is going to appeal to it, and we'll just see what happens. I think what's the thing about it is a lot of people just want this deal to go through so they can stop hearing about this story. Like it's
I mean, that's
past
true
its
too.
prime.
Well, also, like, and I know we're spending way too much time on this story, but like, also, you don't want to see some sort of bad governing body come in and take over Activision either, like Tencent or some Chinese kind of governmental body or the Saudi, family who runs the country, because that government is not great either, right? Like, and we already know they're already own like 6% of Nintendo. It's so like it's not like they aren't always already into the video game industry, right? They own some of Capcom, and I think they bought all of SNK at some point. Like the Saudi government is kind of moving kind of forward thinking in that way, but very backwards thinking in a lot of other ways. But you don't want or even someone like the Embracer Group, which I know some people have issues with. I don't really. I think they're just kind of IP hoarding firm, and then they're going to probably sell a lot of these, right? We already saw Tomb Raider get sold off for more than they actually paid for the studios, which I actually, man, if Crystal Dynamics is not working on that Tomb Raider game, I feel so bad for them, because that just means the Embracer Group has no idea what they're doing. But besides that, right? Like, I think Microsoft is the best possible acquisition at the moment. Regardless of what you think of the acquisition in general, Microsoft is the best possible solution. And I don't understand the people who don't want it to go through, except for Sony, because they're just Sony, I guess. But like, also, instead of giving 30% to Activision, you're giving 30% to Microsoft. What's the difference? There's no difference for them. There's absolutely no difference at this point for Sony, right? Microsoft said they're honoring all marketing deals up through the end of the agreement. They're honoring all kinds of commitments. They've already offered to extend those deals. They've already offered to give it to them for PlayStation Plus. They've done all these cloud deals. I don't understand, except that Sony, it kind of feels like they're being petty at this point,
We're going to move on to the next story, but when it comes to Sony, I think I asked LaRon, and I just asked other people around, that has to be a slap in the face to your very own developers. Why do you feel that Call of Duty is the reason why people are playing on your system, and that's the reason they have? And here you have some of the best first party games. In fact, you got a hit TV show, and that's still lesser than Call of Duty. That doesn't make no sense. You got Bungie, the creators of Halo, who got, you guys got Destiny, and that's still not good enough because you feel like Call of Duty is going to sell your system. That's
it does though. Call of Duty totally sells systems.
But I would feel kind of offended to be like, dude, we sold 10 plus billion and growing of games for you as a company, and we're seeing lesser than than our not I won't say competitor, but then a third party, a publisher, like we are making you money and everything, and what it feels like whatever we do, it's never going to be good enough because it's not Call of Duty. That's a slap to the face. That's offensive as a developer. I would up and pack my bags and be like, you know what? I'm about to go work for Nintendo or Microsoft. I'm about to go work for somewhere that not say that a company appreciates me, but someone who feels like someone who feels like my work should be appreciated and than someone else's, in a sense, or what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say.
and man, we should really move off this topic. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I also don't know why they're so focused on Call of Duty, because they also have Diablo 4, which is going to be massive. They have Overwatch 2, which is massive. Blizzard's entire catalog is massive. King's mobile presence is massive. Activision has all these other franchises that they have, right? Like Crash and Spyro are two that like would make Xbox's kid appeal, like appeal to young kids way more attractive, right? And then you can get Toys for Bob to do another Banjo or Conquer or something that they already own too. Like there's so many opportunities and so many things that they could do. Microsoft with these IP that would be friendly for everyone. I don't get it. I don't know. I'm playing Microsoft fanboy now, and I'm not trying to be. I really prefer the Xbox platform over the PlayStation in a lot of different ways. But I think what Microsoft is doing to preserve franchises, or at least try to, with their backwards compatibility and their remastered stuff, and just the way they're kind of their mission and their message, I think, is good for all gamers. And right now, Microsoft is is the company that should least be doing that. It should probably be Nintendo and Sony taking those steps, and they aren't. But that's the last thing I'm going to say on that. We're gonna move on, unless Daniel, you have any final thoughts on this.
Nope. I think you guys did pretty good.
Sorry, I'm just ranting at this point. Our next story: Donkey Kong is getting Lego-fied. Lego and Nintendo have officially announced that Donkey Kong will have a Lego series coming out on August 1st. The four sets they are planning for release are DK's Treehouse expansion set, JD Kong's Minecart Ride, that would be cool, Dixie's Jungle Jam, and Rambi the Rhino expansion. Daniel, you're a big Lego guy. You
Yeah,
excited?
uh, sure. So the sets look way better than the Mario ones, I thought. The Mario ones almost don't even look like Legos. They look
Yeah.
like a Fisher Price toy set kind of thing.
Like the
So
Duplo
these,
sets.
yeah, exactly. So these looked more Lego-y, which is always nice to see. I the biggest question I guess I have about this is Donkey Kong in the hierarchy of Nintendo things that could be turned into Lego? Is he considered royalty? Did like the character just work so well in the movie that they're fast tracking Donkey Kong stuff? Is that the idea?
I think it's because this is a part of this. They claim it is part of the Super Mario universe. So
Yeah,
Because that's
I also know that Nintendo kind of holds Donkey Kong at pretty high standards in terms of like, not necessarily let's pump out a game every 3 years, because obviously we haven't gotten a real Donkey Kong game since the Wii U, right? But like, I think in terms of the company's history and in their in their history with video games specifically, like Donkey Kong is pretty important to Nintendo's history. So, you know,
yeah, I was just curious because like that's not a character I'm super into.
yeah.
So when they announced that like the next thing they wanted to go for was that, I was kind of surprised because it seems like you could make some really cool Metroid sets or Legend of Zelda. Like it seems like there'd be things I personally would be far more interested in, but I'm also not the market, so
Yeah. I wonder if the Mario movie has anything to do with it, Daniel, to what you said earlier.
Yeah.
Like Donkey Kong in that movie being kind of more relevant than he has been in a while. Probably a good time to put this out.
Yeah, because has there been like a major Donkey Kong title other than fill-ins recently?
Tropical Freeze was the last one, right? So, and that was what, 2014 on the Wii U, I want to say 13, 14.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. And I mean, they re-released it on the Switch obviously, but like I don't know. I think they also re-released the first Returns game on the 3DS at some point in there.
Mm-hmm.
But
so yeah, I think because of the set, I think we're getting a new Donkey Kong game soon.
I know that's what I'm thinking too. I mean that they've been talking about the Odyssey team working on a Donkey Kong game for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's close to being ready, you know. And they're kind of releasing these Lego sets to get people excited for Donkey Kong, and then when that game hits, everybody will be like, "Oh, Donkey Kong!" So
Sounds about right.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Marketing, guys, marketing.
Yep, that's what I figured.
So, all right, our last story here: Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection sales have passed 1 million units. Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection released this month, and it seems to be a major success for Capcom. With Volume 1 and Volume 2 selling as a bundle or separately, all versions have combined to sell over 1 million copies. Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection is available on Switch, PS4, and PC. No Xbox version. Sorry, just angry. It's fine. Not that I would buy that on Xbox, but who picked up the Mega Man Legacy Collection? I did not either. I know people are excited for it though. So
I know a lot of people were showing the Switch version, like physical copies, and that was all.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks cool. Like it totally looks like something I would have liked on the GBA, but
Yeah, right.
yeah. But like I said, on the GBA, there's too many current games that I'm like, I want to play that. Good on Capcom though. Capcom, man, can't miss right now. They are in a long stretch of just can't misses. You know,
their history is so weird, and I know we're going to get into Pack Watch, but you got to think that they became well known back in the 80s and had a hit ride on the 90s with the Super Nintendo and arcades and stuff. And then when it got to the PlayStation 1 games with Resident Evil stuff, you kind of started seeing a transition with them. And for some unknown reason, when they kind of distanced themselves away from Nintendo and what's going on with Microsoft and Sony, definitely with like PlayStation 2 and Xbox and 360 and PS3, they started having a hard time with games and stuff. Like they call it sequelitis, and back in the day Mega Man was the sequelitis for Capcom, but then that became Resident Evil and stuff. But we had the Bionic Commando, even though the indie remake was good, the small one, that 360 PS3 version was terrible. You had Dark Void, which was kind of like terrible. Like they were like hitting highs and lows and stuff, to the point there was a rumor that they was gonna sell to Microsoft, I think, or Nintendo. Like there was a question, should somebody buy Capcom and stuff. But then for some unknown reason, once, and this maybe just be me, I think once Monster Hunter 4 dropped on 3DS, that company started making money and started looking really good. Because like I said, nobody really was into Monster Hunter. But shoot, Fire Emblem Awakening and Monster Hunter 4 was the hit games for 3DS at that point in time. And then they just started getting really big. Monster Hunter got popular. Resident Evil 7 changed things up, and they just started having a good outlook. And now look at them; they're kind of like back on the top of things, in not only just Japan but just worldwide.
I gotta say, while we're on the Capcom train, Street Fighter 6 looks awesome. Street Fighter 6 looks amazing.
I had to play it on PS4. I had to try this demo out. I just,
dude, that game looks so cool. I mean, the open world stuff seems kind of weird, but like the actual like game I've been watching some people play it. Man, it looks so cool. And it's like it's one of those games that I'm like, I know I will never if I got it, I would never play past like the first week of it coming out, or like, people coming over and be like, "Hey," not that I have a lot of people coming over because I don't, but like, "Hey, let's play some Street Fighter." Okay, let's boot it up. And I was like, "No, it looks cool though. I got to give it to Capcom, man." Especially after the fiasco with 5 seemingly like
yeah. I mean, Tekken 8 is just destroying my anticipation for Street Fighter 6. I'm
that's
sorry.
fair.
That game, Bandai Namco just made that game look. It's making that game look amazing. Definitely with Unreal Engine 5. I'm like, this looks sick.
Yeah. So shout out to Capcom.
Yes, shout out to Capcom.
Shout out to Capcom indeed.
And shout out to the Resident Evil engine, because like now that's running on everything and it looks good. I don't know about the dinosaur game.
Yeah. All right. That's it for news. We're going to run through this Pack Watch and Game Fact Advance real quick here to end the show. We don't have any questions. We kind of moved the recording, so we didn't really get to ask for questions. So that was my fault. So sorry, everybody. Questions next week. Throw them in there before Breath of the Wild comes out.
Yes.
Terraflame. Terraflame is a horizontal shoot 'em up inspired by the 90s. In this game, you'll be able to switch between 3 weapons in real time, play in arcade mode or caravan mode, reach for a high score to have the best online ranking. And then on 5.3, we have Super Dungeon Maker. Super Dungeon Maker is a creative pixel art dungeon editor inspired by the best 2D adventure games. Choose however many levels, enemies, secret rooms, traps, and items you want. Challenge your friends in the community to master your dungeon or play the countless dungeons of the community. Who's picking up one of these? Not I, says I.
I was mildly interested in Super Dungeon Maker until I realized that the only character currently that you play as is a baby chick with like a mohawk, a balloon mohawk.
Mm-hmm.
And that just seemed very, very odd to me.
Seems
but
like the best.
It looks like there's some their Kickstarter produced enough results that there's going to be another character eventually added. So
yeah, I'm skipping both games this week. It's because of Redfall on the 2nd. Like, no disrespect to the other 2, and they're the Redfall is just gonna take up my time and stuff. And plus, I just bought a lot of great games on Switch, and so I need to start playing and beating those. So I'm skipping these this week. If they get on a good discount, like a good sale, I'll probably pick it up.
Yeah, it's fair. I'm not picking anything up. Sorry, guys. Let's see. Game Fact Advance, everybody. As we get closer to the release of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, it's good to look back on some of the history from the series. Many of us in the United States have known the first game to be called The Legend of Zelda, but did you know the original name in Japan was known as the Hyrule Fantasy Zelda no Densetsu?
Yes.
Not only did the game originate on the Famicom and released in February of 1986, but it didn't have the save battery like the home console ports in the US and Europe. In fact, Japan didn't get the US port till 1994, and it was titled The Hyrule Fantasy Zelda no Densetsu 1.
Yes.
Man, good times. Japan also did get the that weird satellite version of Link to the Past, though, where they gave them like extra missions. Like you actually like linked your Super Famicom up to like the internet or whatever, or the satellite, and it's almost like remember Sega TV? It was almost like that.
Yes.
Man, Sega TV was like Game Pass before Game Pass.
That's how the Wily Wars for Mega Man. So glad that's on Genesis. Okay.
Oh my gosh, I begged and begged my parents for Sega TV, and they said no because it was like $30 or $40 a month, and like as a child you don't understand how money works, but as an adult I totally understand why my parents did not want to pay for Sega TV.
Yes. And it's funny that you mentioned that, Corey, because of the satellite for Super Nintendo, because like they had the 64DD in Japan that released. And in order for you to get the extra levels like in Zelda with it, you had to go to 7-Eleven for it. To download it and stuff.
So weird, man. God, video games are weird.
But shoot, games and snacks. That to me that makes sense.
I mean that's fair, but also video games are weird.
True.
Very true. Oh man, good times though. You know,
the best.
Yes.
Speaking of the best times, Ed, get us out of here since we've been going for 2.5 hours.
Well, everybody, that's going to be it for Nintendo Pow Block. Like I said, next week we will be 2 days before The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So we may just have a pre-discussion about that game. We'll see how things go with news and stuff. But with that, everybody, have a great week. Have a great weekend. And we'll see you next time on Nintendo Pow Block. Bye, everybody. Woohoo!
Goodbye.
Farewell.
Nintendo Pow Block is a product of Boss Rush Media, LLC, and is recorded from our headquarters in Akron, Ohio. The show is hosted by me, Edward Varnell. My co-hosts are Corey Derrick and Cordy Yikes. You can find Corey at I am Corey in HD on Twitter and Instagram, as well as hosting the Boss Rush Podcast and Tower Casuals, the Destiny Podcast. You can find Cordy at Cordy_Yikes on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. You can find me at That Richard Cole on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Nintendo Pow Block on all social media platforms at Pow Block Podcast. You can also follow Boss Rush Media and Boss Rush Network on all major social media platforms. Join the Boss Rush Network Discord and Facebook groups to interact with other friends and fans. Visit bossrush.net for more great content and patreon.com/bossrushmedia to learn how you can support this show. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.